Hey guys, welcome back to the full court. Well, today is mashing day. I've got my water heating up back here in my steel. I probably got 25, 30 gallon water back there, which is all we're going to need for this simple little old mash that we got. We've got our ground corn, we've got our corn malt, we've got our yeast, we've got our sugar. So here in just a minute, we're going to get into making this mash, and I'm going to walk you through the steps. It's really not what you put into it. Like I always say, it's the process that you use doing it. We have our malt out now, our malted barley finally sprouted after 2 days. We've got it out drying. We're going to go over that with you. So y'all hang around. Come back in here. Let's get it on. All right, hey guys. Here we are out here with our barley malt. You've really got to spread this stuff pretty thin when you're drying it. If you don't have concrete, that's fine. Use a tarp. Put your tarp out in your yard, out in the sun, and put your malt on it. It'll dry just the same. But what you got to do, I use just old garden rake, and I just move it around. You got to do this 3 or 4 times a day. So you're going to work in the morning, come up here and move your malt around. Now, as you can see, she's sprouting. We had about a 99% germination rate on this barley, which is great. It works good in that barrel. The biggest thing I can tell you about drying malt is watch your weather forecast. Make sure you got dry weather with some sun. Now, right now we have clouds coming in. You may have to shade it some. If it's just full sun, you'll have to shade it because it will sunburn. You can sunburn your malt. But I already know that we had clouds moving in and out today. So I just leave it out here. But I do have a canopy that I can put over it. So if it's just like full sun and you got it on a tarp, pull it over up under a shade tree somewhere. Let the wind blow on it. That's probably about the best tip I could give you on drying malt. Is don't let the sun get on it too much. Y'all come back here in a minute. We're going to be making a good corn mash. It's going to be a sweet mash, which is a good base for a sour mash. Sour mash is where it's at. Come on back, guys. All right, guys. Let's build a good corn mash. It's really not that complicated. I mean, there's a lot of people out there make you think that you can't do it, or you have to have this much of that and so many pounds of this, and you really don't. We're going to do it old school, backwoods, hillbilly way. We're going to want 3 to 4 inches of grain in the bottom of our barrel. So what that means is if you have a 5-gallon bucket, or if you have a 500-gallon mash barrel, 3 or 4 inches is what you want. Now this corn, when we ground it, I didn't show you the grinding process because it's just a grain mill, guys. But you want it, as you can see, a little bit finer than cracked corn. You don't want meal, because if you have cornmeal, you're going to have a big old dough ball at the bottom of your barrel. You don't want that. So we're going to pour this corn off in here. Now see how hard was that? We just poured the corn off in there. Now that come up to my knuckles. So we've got about 4 inches in there. That's how we want to measure that. It don't matter if you got 5 gallon, 10 gallon, 20 gallon, 50 gallon, it don't matter. 3 to 4 inches of corn in the bottom of your barrel. Our water's heating up right now. Remember, your corn needs to be a little bit finer than cracked corn, but you don't need meal, because meal will make a big old dough ball on the bottom of your barrel and it ain't going to ferment right. So we're just going to do this right here the old school backwoods way, and that's how we're going to do it. We're going to keep it that way. I want y'all to try this mash, and then when we start sour mashing, you're going to see the benefits of doing it this way. Y'all come back here in a minute for the full court. All right, guys, what we're doing right now is getting our hot water out of the steel. Now, if you notice, I have on a pair of leather gloves. I always keep you a good pair of leather gloves around the steel, because everything you're dealing with is going to be hot from this point on. So make sure you got a good pair of gloves, some heat-resistant gloves or whatever, to where you can do this without scalding yourself. There's a lot of safety goes on around the steel too. We're going to be going over that in a future video, but right now, we're putting our hot water. This water is 190 degrees, and I'm just pouring it right in on my corn. Now, how hard's that? That's not complicated or anything. But we're going to put 2 buckets full over in there, and we're going to stir it up. Then we're going to put the rest of it in there. The only reason I do a half a barrel, so you got a 5-gallon bucket, you only need to do 2.5 to 3 gallons of hot water at 180, 190 degrees, just enough to cook your corn. Because we're going to cool that mash with cold water and add oxygen to it as we go. Which I'm not doing 4 buckets. I'm going to do another bucket. I mean, this water's awful. They're going hot, to be honest with you. But you really need to have good hot water on that corn. That 3 or 4 inches of corn in the bottom needs 6 to 12 inches of hot water on top of it. And that's how we're going to measure this stuff out. We don't have no scales, we don't have no hydrometers or nothing. But we're making a good corn mash. Alright. That's the same bucket I have my corn in. Now we're going to get our paddle. Now you go down there at Walmart and get you a paddle, a wood canoe paddle. It'll work just the same way. We're going to want to stir this. Make sure you don't have any clumps. You don't want this stuff clumping up. You just want to stir it. So, and we're going to be stirring this for the next 30, 45 minutes, you know, to make sure that this corn gets cooked good. You can see all the steam and everything coming up out of there. So we're cooking corn at this point. I'm going to get the rest of my water out of my steel. I want at least 25-gallon water, hot water, in this. So it's going to cook my corn. Now my corn is already thickening up. It's already cooking. We're looking to get the starches out of the corn. That's your flavor. Excuse me. That's your flavor, is your starches. The corn starch and the sugar is going to react, and you're going to get your corn flavor from the corn starch. So that's what we're looking for here, to get as much starches out of that corn as we can before we add our sugar, and then we're going to have a good corn liquor mash. So y'all come back here to the full court, and we'll get right back into it. All right, guys. I don't stir it constantly because I'm steeping my grain. But I stir it every 5 to 10 minutes. As far as the last time I'm going to stir it. Pulled some of my corn out. It's hot now. Watch your fingers. That corn is soft and it's sticky. So I know it's cooked. I know the starches come out of it. So now it's time for the sugar. And we're going to talk a little bit about sugar. Alright, this is just my regular old Food City brand sugar, but it says pure cane sugar on it. Do not use beet sugar. Beet sugar will not make liquor. I tried beet sugar one time. I got 2 quarts out of a 50-gallon mash. It does not work. Make sure you use pure cane sugar. Beet sugar does not ferment. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there saying, oh, blah, 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 but that's bullshit. Beet sugar does not ferment. Right now we're going to add 50 pounds of sugar into this mash, because we have 50-gallon mash. You need 1 pound per gallon of sugar. So you go buy, that's the only thing that we're measuring is your sugar. Go buy your sugar. If you got a 5-gallon, 10-gallon mash, whatever, get 5 or 10 gallon sugar, or pound sugar. And that's all you need in this. So the only thing with a measurement on it is the sugar. But do not use beet sugar. You use brown sugar, but now you gotta watch your brown sugar. Make sure your brown sugar is made out of pure cane sugar. Because some brown sugar is made out of beet sugar. All they do is add molasses to brown sugar. That's it. But this right here is going to make you a real good corn liquor, especially when you sour mash it. We'll be sour mashing this right here on video, right here on the full court. We'll be sour mashing it then, but always add your sugar to your hot water. After you done steeped your grain and everything, don't add no water to it till you add your sugar. Because your sugar's going to add some volume in there. As you can see, you probably can't see shit because of the steam, but you can see how the sugar's changing the gravity in that already. See how the corn's floating different? All that stuff right there, that cob and stem and stuff, don't worry about that. That's just a good cap, guys. We ain't worried about that. Don't be worried about it. Y'all come back here in a minute. We'll be finishing this mash up. Alright, guys. We're back. I'm sitting here with my water hose, and I'm adding cold water to this mash. You know, people tell you gotta let it sit this long. No, once your corn's cooked, you add cold water to it. That's why we only do half hot water, when we do the other half cold water. But what I'm doing, as you can see, I'm adding oxygen to this mash with a spray nozzle, old school spray nozzle. Now you could use your paddle to do this, whatever you want to do. You can take your paddle and you can draw oxygen into it or whatever. But as long as you're adding oxygen into that mash, your yeast is going to be happy for a day or two, and it's going to start working real good. Your malt's going to really like that oxygen. I'm going to fill this up to about 2 inches below that right there is 50 gallon. That's where we're going to go to today. Make sure you understand your mash barrel. There's one thing I got to tell y'all. Make sure you start out with a clean mash barrel. Like this one here, this one right here has been sour mashed 4 times. So I dumped all the old grain out of it and everything, and I took it out here, I soaked it for about 2 hours, filled it up full of water, then I scrubbed it with antibacterial dish soap. Make sure you scrub your mash barrel before you ever start a sweet mash. And that's what this is. This is just sweet mash, guys. Once we get into the sour mashing part of this, it's going to make more sense to you. The sour mash liquor is a lot better than your sweet mash liquor. I'm going to continue filling this barrel up. If Miss Ruby will come over here, she can show you how much oxygen I'm putting in this mash. I'm putting tons of oxygen in it. Look at that. But that's what you want to do. You got to oxygenate your mash. You have to. Oxygen is key to this. So y'all come back here in a minute, and we'll be doing something about some corn malt, some yeast. All right, guys. As you can see, we've added our cold water. See all the oxygen I put in that? See all that foam? That ain't nothing but oxygen. The finger test tells me it's still around 100 degrees, but the yeast I'm using works from 104 down to 50. So at this time, we're going to add our corn malt. Now, when you grind your corn malt, you want it to be finer than your cracked corn, because this ain't nothing but a nutrient for your yeast, guys. The best nutrient on earth is this corn malt. See how fine it is? So we're just going to pour our corn malt off over in there. We're going to stir it up. We're going to add our yeast here in just a minute. Now, the yeast I use ain't nothing but a Red Star bread yeast. You go down to the local grocery store and get it. What I'm trying to do is give you all a mash that's going to work better than anything else that's out there, and you can get it all right there locally around your home. And cheap. It don't cost a whole lot of money. But now, if you are looking for some different grains, different corns, contact Tracy Brumgardner, Ace Custom Copper. He got his t-shirt on right there. He's got probably more different varieties of corn right now in stock than anybody else in the country. So give Tracy a call at Ace Custom Copper. He has a group on Facebook. Give Tracy a call. Tracy will help you out on that. He's got all kind of grain. This right here is just something to show y'all that you can make from right there around your local area. Now we're going to put yeast in this. I got the malt in it now, and that's my nutrient. If you're doing like a 10-gallon mash, about 1 ounce is all you need. This, I just pitched about at 6 ounces, 7 ounces maybe, in a 50-gallon mash, which is plenty enough. Now see, I'm drawing that from the bottom and pulling it up. Hear it, see it flop out of the barrel, that's fine. I'm drawing oxygen back into that mash with my paddle. I want to show y'all that. We're going to let this right here sit for a little bit. We're going to let it start working, and I'm going to show y'all what kind of mash you can make with this simple ingredients. No measuring corn, no weights, no nothing. This is what you could make. Y'all come back to the full court. Here it is. The next morning after we made our mash, I go up there to check it. As you can see, it's working great. I mean, listen to it. Sound like fried bacon. Keep your yeast happy. Don't over sugar your mash. If you put too much sugar in it, your yeast is going to stress. The malt has a lot to do with this. Happy yeast, happy mash. The malt's giving it all of its nutrients. It's not stressing, eating the sugar. It's working great. If you do it that way, you'll end up with a great corn liquor. This is easy for the beginner. This stuff works every time if you just do it the way that I did it. Like I said, it's a process. It's not what you put in, it's a process. And it'll work every time. You'll make some good liquor. Then when you get into sour mash, and that's the thing, a sweet mash is just a base for your sour mash. You can't have sour mash without a sweet mash. So when we run this, I'm going to keep it back, and I usually blend it with my sour mash liquor that comes off a hit. So just stay tuned with us here, guys, at the full court. Probably midweek, we're going to do a video about still safety and burner setup and go over that before we run. I want to go over some safety tips and stuff around your still. Now, guys, if you've never used any malt, you could be, experienced to this and never used malted corn. Try this mash out with malted corn, and you'll see a big difference in how it works and just everything. It's a big difference. So, but you will need some malted corn for your sour mash run, so make sure you have enough. All right, guys, with that said, I'm going to go to work. Y'all have a good day. We'll see you soon.